my agent called me, or my manager called me, and said, Marvin just got a call from Uwe, who's the manager of Helene Fischer, and they're interested for you to come and work on the tour. And I was kind of like going, huh?
Tait Towers started here in America in about 1979. It was a lighting company at first, and it kind of morphed into a staging company, but it grew exponentially.
Tait Towers has always represented the best in the business.
What we're building either enables the show to happen or not. We thrive on complications.
25 years ago, musicians were making money selling records. And now they're making money selling seats. And that's why we're making stage sets.
Like any organization, we have our moments, we have our drama.
It's full on, because there's a deadline that we're up against all the time. There's no showing up a day late.
In this business, you're only as good as your last show.
Helene is a huge Schlager star. There's a difference between a pop star and a Schlager star. The Schlager music is something totally different. The closest equivalent that we would have would be country or folk, opposed to pop and R&B. At that time, I really didn't know much about her because the Schlager world is very much its own world. And when I did my research, I was going, are they sure? Are they sure they want someone? They want me. And I kind of went through all the stuff, and I went online, and I, did all my research, whatever I could do at that time. And we had the meeting.
Es eigentlich gar nicht so in Worte fassen, weil Schlager ist einfach ein eigenes Ding und man kann aber Schlager eben auch verschieden klingen lassen. Es gibt den, ich sage jetzt mal, den Party-Schlager, es gibt den volkstümlichen Schlager und es gibt den Popschlager. Ich glaube, dass ich sozusagen in dem Segment Popschlager bin. Ob man das so nennen kann, ich weiß es nicht. Das Publikum, ich versuche einfach immer eine schöne Show für die Leute zu bauen, sie mitzunehmen. Ich möchte, dass sie immer mehr von mir kennenlernen, neue Seiten an mir kennenlernen und das ist eigentlich das Allerwichtigste. Was es für ein Genre das jetzt ist, das spielt für mich ehrlich gesagt keine Rolle.
Matt Hales in Belgium is the project manager for that show. He needed resources from Lidditz, so we identified, me to be the project manager here. So between me and him, we tag teamed the project. What we did is we provided a bunch of gear that were assets here in Lidditz. However, the show as a whole came out of Belgium.
Doing the final test setup and integration of the Helene Fischer show here in Wardama. The head carpenter and the automation operator have come over to join us to test all the equipment. Alex Blaze is the automation, Denny Rich is the carpenter. They're two roadies, two guys that we work with very frequently.
My definition of a roadie is somebody that can think on its feet and can have initiative and is a well-rounded person to be on the road and basically deal with life on the road. Hello, how you doing? My laundry. We're in the underworld. This is where the ghouls and goblins hang out. Anybody can do what we do. Maybe once, but to do it on a daily basis for weeks on, weeks off, and keep on going, it's a different life.
It's also very important that the automation guys on the road have a strong rapport with our technicians in the shop. They need to be able to call in and speak very candidly and freely about the problems that they're having so that we can send them the parts and pieces that they need. And it's a different language, right? I mean, the terminology and the day-to-day jargon that they're spitting out at each other is ridiculous. I've been working for Tait for 7 years, and I still, half the time, it's answer a phone call. I understand what you're talking about, but I gotta pass you off to somebody else because you're beyond my ability to help you. My ability to help them at that point is just making sure that they're talking to the right person at the right time and in a timely manner. We're done testing, integrating, painting, troubleshooting. The system is about as ready as we can get it to be until we show up on site and have to integrate all of the millions of things that nobody has thought of. And this laser goes here, and this light's gonna have to hang here. And oh, by the way, can I hang this dingle hopper off to the side? And you know, it's a constant battle. But we're packing up on 4 trucks to go to Hof, Germany. It's about, I believe, a 9-hour drive. We're all gonna fly in, go meet the actual production staff, and we'll be showing them how they're gonna function on a day-to-day basis. We are in Hof, Germany, which is far southeastern Germany, working on our first adventure into kind of opening up a new market in the European area.
What I've been trying to do now is take that technology, bring it over to Europe, and put it together in different shapes and forms so that bands that who do not have the budgets to create new shows like this can actually have a show at the level of a world pop star.
It enables us to configure it into a really unique format for her, and it allows us to turn it around very quickly as well. It's also a really good example of the tag team partnership between Tait and Belgium, and you know, we're able to produce shows quickly even across the globe.
She's doing 50 shows all through Germany and in the German-speaking areas of the surrounding countries. 50 show dates in the next 3 months, and they're all sold out. The way that this whole project came about, Thomas Schmidt, who is the co-founder of the company Soundhouse here in Germany, he contacted me because they had seen the Tina Turner tour and Helene wanted the arm.
We decided to go to Tait Towers because over here in Germany there's no real specialized staging company. I mean, no company of this quality and of this tour experience.
Wir haben ehrlich gesagt alle gemeinsam an dieser Bühne gearbeitet. Wir hatten anfangs ein komplett anderes Design und das ist aber absolut die aufwendigste und eigentlich auch die schönste und geilste Bühne, die wir bisher hatten. Mit all diesen technischen Dingen, also mit den Toastern, dem Kran. Also es wird für die Leute, glaube ich, echt einfach ein Erlebnis sein, weil sowas gab es im Schlagerbereich noch nicht. Es hat auch noch, glaube ich, keiner sich eine Bühne in Amerika bauen lassen. Also es ist einfach ein irrsinnig tolles Gefühl, diese Bühne bespielen zu dürfen, jeden Abend und vor allem, dass ihr mit uns fährt. Das ist so unsere eigene Bühne, finde ich toll.
Dancers, let them know, for Sweet Dreams, as soon as the blackout starts, they need to be on stage.
Just get into position, so he'll see you, he'll hear you, then it'll be live music, then it'll be live.
We want to give the dancers and Helene the opportunity to move around the stage, yeah, to have different levels,
There she goes.
a playing ground, yeah.
Typically what happens is a design will come in and then we kind of plug and fill in the gaps. They called, they said, we want to use the arm. like, okay, and what else? Nothing else, we're fine. We're getting a stage from a local company, and we'd like to look at using some of your lifts, and through different conversations, kind of talking them through the concept that, look, if you use one of our staging systems, you're gonna save time and packaging space in the end, right? And everything's gonna fit together and plug and play nice, and if you're gonna tour, why pound your head against the wall every day when you can just have lifts and staging equipment and the arm all from the same company? Verbal conversations with Thomas on the phone. We want the arm, we want to do this, maybe a couple other lifts, and they sent us some pictures of the tour from the year before. A designer can come in and they can flip through this book, and it's like, I want one of these lifts, and I want one of those staircases, and this arm. It's like a Chinese menu of gags for your show. All of a sudden, you can start to pull together a lot of different elements to a show, but you're not necessarily having to pay the custom manufacturing side of things, right? You can do a more cost-effective show, a more economical show.
Yeah. The two BVs are going to come out, and you're going to be directly as far as you can come out with the cable. Okay. That'll be wicked. I do believe being on stage is just an extension of your creativity, and I think that there's always many different sides. It's about kind of molding it to her personality or to her direction or her development, let's say. And so that's how we built the show. So we have 12 excellent dancers, excellent musicians, and it's kind of a whirlwind, which is something very different for Schlager music. And what are you playing? I play. You gotta make that look really good. You gotta play that like you're playing the yes. Boom. That's all you play. There's no boom. There's no boom boom. We're trying to find the middle point with pop, from pop and Schlager, you know, without doing either one of them any injustice. She has a very big Schlager audience. The Schlager audience is probably like, I want to hear Schlager music. But they did, you know, so it'd be a nice little mesh. Let's see what happens tomorrow. See what you say.
The stage as a whole is roughly 40 feet deep, upstage to downstage, stage left to stage right, just over 60 feet on the main portion of the stage, and then on the stage left and stage right, we have ego platforms that extend out a little bit further. One of the main things that we needed to do for them was provide a stage that's modular. They're touring through a lot of smaller venues than are typically played with a rolling stage like this. When you're playing smaller venue that's a 3,000 seats, right, instead of a 10,000 seat arena or 15,000 seat arena, to bring in a full 6-foot tall rolling stage is a pretty massive ordeal. So we've built the whole thing modularly so that they can actually have a B show set up if they need to cut the wings off the side a little bit, make it a little bit smaller, a little bit narrower. We have an entire separate leg package to make the whole thing a bit shorter if they're in a low trim venue. I think this is definitely a first for us, making fireman's poles. Basically, we built it using all the same components that we use for everything else. Our taper fittings, our pin connectors. So it is basically just locked into the stage by the geometry of the shape of the fireman pole itself. It locates into one of our taper fittings in the bottom and has a custom profile cut into it so that you spin it 90 degrees and it locks it in place so it can't be lifted. And then we installed a couple clamps here at the top for a quick release into the deck, and it travels as a 20-foot piece of pole. Not really any way to break that one down. The lift platform here this is flagpole on the stage right side. It's very, very compressed. Typically when we would install something like this, we would have a lot more room around it and clearances around it. Everything is crammed in very, very tight to get as much equipment into the show for them as possible.
Oh, bless you. I went in. Did I toast up? Absolutely not. No.
It has a travel of roughly 5 feet, so that when it goes down to the lowest position, you have a 6-inch step to get up on top of it as the performer. The whole thing is sealed off with polycarbonate sheeting on the inside of the lift, so that from a safety standpoint, there's no places to catch your fingers, catch your toes. There's a door on the front that opens and closes. It has an interlock switch, so it cannot fire, it will not run if the door is open. So the loading process, they bring it down, door open, performer gets on, door gets shut. There's a queuing sequence where they go through standby, firing, toast up onto the stage.
And that's a toast.
The guy, Alex, who runs the toaster is awesome.
During the entire show, I will be sitting right here at the command center, running the show, calling cues, and that's what I'll be doing.
They do inspections every morning to make sure somebody hasn't come in, you know, a lighting operator doing a light check or a programming session at night will maybe run a cable. If you don't do a safety check in the beginning to make sure that everything's clear, you know, you go to move the arm and all of a sudden you're ripping lights off the stage. Alex, when you're ready, go ahead and do your morning check.
The most important part would be to have the hydraulic pump running. Without the hydraulic pump, I wouldn't be able to do anything. I mean, I'd be able to rotate the base, but that wouldn't do me any good because I need to get the arm out of the cradle first.
As the system lifts up out of the stage, we have 3 different points of articulation. We call them the wrist, the elbow, and the knuckle.
I'm just making sure that all the axes are doing what they're supposed to do. Making sure that no axes are doing any extreme positioning error.
The system has to go up to roughly 35 degrees before it's clear of the stage and can actually do its rotate out over the audience. We've got a 45-foot cantilever that's sweeping out over the crowd. We're talking about a pretty massive structure here, right? The base of the arm itself is about 6,000 pounds, and then there's an additional 6,000 pounds of encapsulated lead as a counterballast. The hardest thing about something like this is making it tourable. How do you tour something that's 11,000 pounds? This whole system still, even though it's that massive, is still built at the front of house as a separate element and then is rolled in place and locked to the rest of the main stage.
Everyone has to be aware of like their surroundings on this show. If I was to see something that does not belong there, I can e-stop it and it will stop. I don't want to do that, but my option is there. That's why I always have my hand near that button. If it was rotating, that would create like a major stop, and at the speed it's going, it could actually knock the artist off of it. So that's why we have the handrails, and we insist that she does not ride the arm as it's moving in a rotational manner. Anyways, motion is done, has landed safely, and everything went really good.
Safety's paramount, right? I mean, it's number one in every single thing we do. We go through extensive training with every performer that interacts with the equipment, not only on the stage, but under the stage. We have people crawling around the pathways underneath the stage all the time. The dancers are going to their quick changes, they're accessing the flagapults, they're going to the flagavator. Sometimes the quick change can be in a very congested area where there's a lot of automation happening. Everybody needs to be aware that these are moving components and they have to be kept clear.
Die das Ganze auch wirklich lebendig machen. Ich bin einfach dieses Jahr so aufgeregt, freue mich eigentlich auch über jeden Titel, weil wir uns über jeden einzelnen Titel so viel Gedanken gemacht haben, dass die Leute, glaube ich, echt viel Abwechslung bei meiner Show kriegen werden.
It's going to be very exciting. It's very dynamic. There's a lot of precision. You're going to see flips, splits, and high kicks. There you go. Flips, kicks, and high splits. How could you beat that? I should get a shirt that says that.
After months of design, planning, fabrication, integration, testing, it's opening night. Everything's tested and rocking 100%. We're looking forward to a good show. The reason that we're actually here and playing this venue is because it's where they decided to have the rehearsals. They typically wouldn't be stopping at a venue this size, so everybody's kind of excited to see a show this big in a space that small. It makes the show feel more intimate for the first performance.
Thank you so much for your hard work. I know this is a very emotional moment for me. And
we tested everything, made sure everything worked. The pump works, the arm works, toasters work, flag elevator works, and so we're ready. Yes, go ahead.
I want the fans to walk away with just happiness in their hearts. Helene is such a nice person and friendly to everybody. She's able to bring that over on stage as well, so people will leave the venue with happiness and joy.
And go.
Meine größte Hoffnung ist, dass wir auch in diesem Jahr alles richtig gemacht haben, dass wir alles, was wir uns in den Kopf gesetzt haben, alle Umsetzungen der Titel, die ja doch sehr anders sind als auf meiner CD, dass die Leute trotzdem geflasht sind von so viel Inspiration, die wir ihnen dann auch geben sozusagen. Ich hoffe, dass die Stimmung natürlich toll ist, dass wir mit den Titeln, so wie wir sie eben umarrangiert haben, dass wir die Halle einheizen können, dass sie mit einem erfüllten und guten Gefühl nach Hause gehen, dass sie sagen, Mensch, das war einfach ein wunderschöner, toller Abend. Wir haben alles bekommen. Wir haben
Back to the office to start another one tomorrow. Opening night was a huge success. There was a lot of buzz around what she was doing. There were local camera crews from Germany coming in to do interviews. She put on a 3-hour performance with no opening act, covered a pretty fantastic spectrum of the Schlager music, which is the really popular thing that she's kind of known for. I think that this Helene Fischer show was the first in a long line of many of pop stars, musicians, performers, even getting out of the music realm and taking it into corporate events and fashion shows. I think that we're expanding to a point where people that have always wanted to be able to use a Tait stage but have never necessarily had access, whether that was financial access or logistical access due to the geographical location of where they were working. I think we're getting to the point where we can supply that to everybody.